The big story in Columbus today is the transfer of Joe Burrow. He announced it on social media that he is heading elsewhere after weeks of struggling with this decision. I have decided to leave Ohio State and explore other options. My teammates and coaches all know the love I feel for them. I will decide where I will play next year in the coming weeks. And again, because he is a graduate of the Ohio State University, as of last Sunday, he can transfer, have 2 years of eligibility left, and play immediately. Stan and I have been talking about it, and you have been reacting to it. And let's now go to get more reaction from Bill Rabinowitz of the Dispatch, beat writer for Buckeye football. All right, Stan is in the go play for Luke Fickell camp in Cincinnati for Joe Burrow. Bill, I know you've been working on possibilities. Is that one that you could see happen, or where do you think we may see Joe Burrow playing football next?
Yeah, I think Cincinnati is a possibility. Hello, Matt and Stan. I think the issue is I think there are two potential problems with that. One is I think he may want to play at a Power 5 school, and UC obviously is not a Power 5 school. Right. And the other is the UC has really struggled last year, and does he want to go to a rebuilding program and kind of deal with the growing pains that usually includes? And I'm not saying he won't, but I think Fickell will get the Bearcats rolling, but will he do it, quickly enough? I don't know. But I think Cincinnati is a possibility. Some people have mentioned Ohio U for the obvious reason. His father is a defensive coordinator there. I actually talked with Mark Snyder, who covers the MAC for us, and he thinks that Toledo would be a more likely place if you were going to stick with the MAC. But again, I think he's looking at a Power 5 school. I think that LSU, which has it seems like they've never had, at least not in recent years, had a quality quarterback, would be a good fit. Ed Orgeron has said that he's looking for a transfer quarterback. Florida, even though Dan Mullen said, I think as recently as today or yesterday, that he wasn't, as of right now, wasn't looking for a grad transfer, given his ties to Meyer, given the fact that Florida's offense was awful last year, that would be a natural fit. And everyone talks about Nebraska because the family ties there, the uncles have played there and all that kind of stuff. But I think that Nebraska with Scott Frost really likes Adrian Martinez, their early enrollee freshman, and because Scott Frost is kind of the golden boy coming back home, he doesn't have to win right away. And if he wants to build with a freshman quarterback, he probably has more leeway to do that than most coaches do, and have patience. So, I think all those are possibilities. I'm not sure that one stands out as the clear favorite.
Bill, we look at it from the prism of being in Columbus, Ohio, and anytime any Ohio State football player transfers, it's news. Double, triple, quadruple that when it's a quarterback that was in a quarterback battle, it becomes a big story. And then you have the nuance in this one where he's a graduate of Ohio State, so he can be eligible right away. This is my point is, this is a big deal here, but you're naming schools. How big of a free agent nationally, how big of a college football story is Joe Burrow being on the open market when he could, in the fall, be your starting quarterback at whatever school you may be?
I think it's a really big one, especially for schools like I've mentioned that need a quarterback. What's interesting is I got clarification today from Ohio State because Nebraska obviously is in the Big Ten. The Big Ten would have to kind of waive their rule about transferring inside the conference. So I'm not saying that wouldn't happen. I would guess it would. Right. But it is a hurdle that they would have to jump over, and so it's not quite as clear with Nebraska as it is with any other program. Because the Big Ten does have a rule. They try to discourage players from transferring inside the conference.
Well, the Big Ten has already done that with Michigan and Jake Rudock.
Right.
That's right.
So I think that's probably an easy hurdle to get over if he wants that.
Yeah, I would think it is, but it is something that they at least have to,
address.
Have to do the paperwork for. Yeah, they have to do it. I mean, and honestly, I can't imagine that Ohio State would deny it. Not because they would welcome playing against Joe Burrow when Nebraska comes to town, but because in terms of recruiting, you don't want to kind of get the reputation of a place that denies players the right to go where they want if it doesn't work out. Because at Ohio State, they know that they're going to be coming into a very competitive situation, and if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, they do want to know that they've got every option available to them.
Yeah, Bill, I was talking about it with some people here, and man, that would be if he did the Nebraska thing, that would be so awkward in November. I mean,
awkward or awesome?
Both. It would be. I mean, your stories for the week would be written. I mean,
that'd be an easy week.
I just. You're right. I don't think Urban. Do you think Urban would ever restrict him from transferring to a specific school, or is he just going to let him go? I mean, he's all about doing the right thing by the kid and by the family. It would be weird for me to be the coach and say, yeah, go and have your blessing to send him to a school that you're going to play in a few months.
Yeah, but I first of all, I think Urban Meyer really likes Joe Burrow, respects Joe Burrow, and I think that would certainly play into it. I don't think that he would deny him the right to do that. I think if for a kid he wasn't really enamored with, that maybe that would be a consideration. But I do think that Joe Burrow's done everything right inside the program, and if his heart is set, just for the sake of argument, of going to Nebraska, I don't think that Urban Meyer would stand in his way. I just don't. I don't think he would do it. I mean, I could be wrong. I certainly haven't asked him that. I don't know for a fact. I think that he would just let Joe Burrow go.
And just so you know, I don't think he would either. It just is a weird situation because they're on the schedule next year. It's fascinating for me to think of him walking into Ohio Stadium as the starting quarterback for Nebraska in a few weeks, and you got Joe Burrow versus Dwayne Haskins all over again, except on different teams.
Right, or about TCU. I mean, I've seen that, and I listed that. You know, that's more unlikely, I would think. I mean, I don't think TCU's at the top of the list, but they don't really have an established quarterback, and I know Patterson wants a running quarterback, and it's funny. Some of these national people that I've talked to today are kind of like, well, they want a running quarterback at this score. That's why I'm like, Joe Burrow can run.
Yeah,
he's a really good runner. You know, he's not Braxton Miller, and he's not Tate Martell, but he's probably a better runner than Dwayne Haskins, and certainly can throw the ball too. So it's like I think that there's a little stereotyping going on in terms of Joe Burrow and his perceived ability to run the ball, but I think he's a really good runner.
Visiting with Bill Rabinowitz of the Dispatch about Joe Burrow's decision to transfer. I don't know that we'll ever know the answer to this. You'll probably ask him. I'll probably ask Urban Meyer, what did you tell Joe Burrow? Right. How did that meeting go? Because we know that there had to be a meeting. What do you like? My suspicion and Stan's suspicion is that it wasn't like Dwayne Haskins is the starter, that it was what he's been telling us, that hey, we're going to go into the fall and it's going to be up in the air, and he just didn't want to take that risk. I don't know. How do you think it unfolded? What is your impression of maybe what happened there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Joe Burrow probably wanted some clarity, and either Urban Meyer couldn't give him that clarity and said it's going to go into camp too close to call, or he may have said that, okay, Dwayne Haskins is probably the guy. Mm-hmm. But I think Joe Burrow wanted to hear, you're my clear guy going into camp at least. And if he couldn't give him that, at least be 50-50.
Right. Then
Joe Burrow's like, okay, I have to make this decision for my own future. I don't know which came first. I don't know, obviously, how Urban Meyer phrased it to him or characterized the race. But clearly, Joe Burrow didn't feel like he was likely to be the starting quarterback at Ohio State. Because if he had, he would have stayed.
Yeah, and now it's Dwayne Haskins, quite obviously. I know right. We've heard Tate Martell being in the mix, but it's let's face it, it's Dwayne Haskins' job now. And his mentality's got to totally change now, doesn't it, Bill? I mean, there's no more competition. You're going to get 80% of the reps. That first game's going to come, and you're going to be the quarterback. And it's be interesting to see how he responds to this now.
It will. But I think all three of these guys, including Tate Martell, have kind of taken the approach that they feel like they are going to approach things as a starter. But Tate Martell is a very self-confident guy. And so I don't think Tate Martell is going to go into camp thinking, I'm the number 2 guy. I think he's going to go in there thinking, I'm going to win this job. Is that realistic? Only Urban Meyer knows. But I wouldn't be complacent if I were Dwayne Haskins. And as you know, Matt and Stan, this is not a place, Ohio State's not a place that allows for complacency. So whether Haskins has the job, he's going to be pushed anyway to be better every day. And so it's not just a matter of, okay, is there somebody breathing down my neck like Joe Burrow? It's, okay, I have to get better because I have to get better. And by the way, there's Tate Martell there too. So it's not like Dwayne Haskins is going to go, okay, where's the hammock?
Yeah,
It's not going to be that.
Well, Stan, as you said, complacency better be the exact opposite of what he has now. right?
Absolutely.
I mean, because this is when it really starts.
Right.
He'll be the first one to get booed in the shoe if he doesn't play well.
Do you have any experience? You know anything about what it's like to be a quarterback at Ohio State?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
That's right. You can give him some pep talks there, Stan, or some advice. Hey, Bill, thanks for taking a few minutes for us. Appreciate it.
Always happy to do it.